Today I'm going to talk about something very important in watercolor, and that is creating depth in your painting. If you're tired of flat and dull paintings, then this is the video for you. I'm going to give you 3 keys to creating a good sense of distance in your scene. Creating a sense of depth in your work and a good sense of distance can take your paintings to the next level. We can go from painting a flat, kind of ordinary scene to creating something that is more evocative, that is more beautiful, that is more inspiring. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. I think it's important to remember what the goal of the foreground is, the middle ground, and the background. In the foreground, we want to lead the viewer into our scene. We want to have enough interest, but not make the foreground too distracting. We want our viewers' attention to be captivated with what's going on in the middle ground of our scene, where our focal area typically is going to be. And the background, we want to be just that. We want it to be a background. It can complement the scene. It can have its own interesting element to the scene, but we don't want the background to take over the scene, and we want to have a sense of distance. We don't want the background to seem as close as the middle ground is in our painting. So tip number 1 in creating depth in our paintings is to cool down the background. Now, when I say cool down, I'm talking about color temperature. Warmer colors typically bring things forward in your scene. Cooler colors push things back. So we want to use cooler colors in our background. Think of it this way: if you're painting a landscape scene and there is a group of trees and those trees stretch into the background, well, as the trees get further away from the viewer, further away from the foreground of the scene, you can use a little bit more blue in your green mixture. And so up close you use more of a warmer green, further back you use more of a cooler green, and that is going to help you push those trees further back into your scene. So think about color temperature when it comes to painting your background. Cool things down, allow the colors to push the background further back in your scene. So tip number 2 is simplify. We want to simplify our backgrounds. And simplification is a great tool overall in watercolor because it helps you to eliminate distracting details and determine what is most important in your scene. Remember that your middle ground is where you want most of the attention to be. If there's a lot of complicated elements in the background of your scene, simplify what's going on in the background. If you're painting a street scene and there's a lot of buildings in the background, you can include those buildings, but try to group them together and eliminate some of the detail in the background that isn't needed. And that leads us to tip number 3, which is use less texture and less contrast in the background of your scene. Texture, a lot like color, can bring an area or an object forward in your scene. Using less texture will push that object back. And the same thing goes for contrast. Contrast is a difference in value. So if you have a brighter area next to a darker area, there is more contrast there. So you're going to want the largest amount of contrast typically in the middle ground around your focal areas. So just a good rule of thumb is the part of your painting that has the most color and the most contrast and the sharpest edges is the part of your scene that's going to get the most attention. That's where our eyes go. Minimizing those things from the background is going to help us push that background further back. You can see that the trees that are closer up in the scene have a lot more contrast, they have more color, and they have more texture than what's going on in the background. So I've softened the background. In watercolor, when we talk about using less texture, that might mean painting our background wet and wet, getting beautiful soft edges and transitions in color. This could also mean maybe you're dampening the paper a little bit before you paint your background, so you can take advantage of some soft edges to push your background further back. Okay, so let's review these 3 tips really quick. We want to cool down our background and use cooler colors in the background. We want to simplify our backgrounds and take out a lot of detail. And we also want to minimize contrast and texture in our backgrounds as well. If we can use these 3 tools and create a good sense of depth in our work, it's really going to take our paintings to another level. You can create a scene that's more evocative and more awe-inspiring when you learn to create depth in your painting. Watercolor is not a very forgiving medium. It's hard to correct. Having a plan as we go into our painting is crucial. So that's why I made this free video lesson, 7 Secrets to Fresh, Powerful Paintings. Many students have already watched this video lesson and are seeing great results, and I know that it can help you out as well. So take a look at this free lesson. All you have to do is follow the link down below in the description and learn how to paint more fresh and powerful watercolor paintings. So I hope that you found these tips helpful. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Is there one of these tips that you have not been using that you think would be helpful in your next painting? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And thank you again for spending some time with me here today. I know that there are many places that you can learn about watercolor, and I love that you are here watching my video. It means a lot to me. I do appreciate it. So keep working at it, keep moving forward in your growth as an artist, and I will see you next time.